When I started working at the Jungle Movement Academy 6 months ago, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be a fitness coach, but that opportunity was not there. What was there and what was offered to me was inconsistent part-time work on call. So what did I do? Well, I made myself available every single time that the phone rang. Even though the work was not exactly what I wanted, I was just going to advertise the gym and hand out flyers and try to tell people about the gym at different schools and events. That was the opportunity that I was given, and that's what I took. Now, 6 months later, I've already earned 2 pay raises, and I've also started from scratch one of the most popular programs for kids at the Jungle, and that's Jungle Soccer. All right, so let's back this up, and I want to weave this into kind of a bigger message, because for one thing, I wanted to say, before I kind of jump into this, how incredibly grateful I am right now for the opportunities that I've been given from the Jungle. I never asked for anything. I never asked for any pay raises, and I never expected any pay raises. I didn't even know if I was going to get full-time work. What I did do is I decided that this is what I wanted. I was going to show up every single day. I was going to show up every single time the phone rang, and I was going to give it my 100% best effort, even if it was not the job that I wanted. To give some context, and I've made some other videos about this in the past, I've worked a lot of different jobs, starting as an Army officer over 10 years ago. I've worked for Amazon, I've worked for Uber, rideshare, DoorDash, I've worked as a bouncer. I've done a ton of different jobs that I didn't want to do. But one thing that I brought to each one of those jobs is the mindset that I was going to work as hard as I possibly could. And the reality is I didn't get the fruit from a lot of those jobs, and some of those jobs did not become very fulfilling. But I did the same thing at each and every job, and that is work as hard as I could. So I wanted to just say how grateful I am to be in a position here with managers that truly respect my work ethic, with a community that I feel really appreciates the value and the work ethic that I bring. And I wanted to also just say, before I dive into some more of the ideas behind what I'm doing and how I got to where I am right now, I wanted to say how humbled I am to be recognized at this place, because there are so many other great employees that work here. There's so many people that work hard, and to be recognized at a place like this among so many great employees has really been such an honor to me, because I didn't expect it. I just showed up every single day and I worked as hard as I could. Now, all right, so let's back up to where this started. Like I said, so basically 6 months ago, I was told that I would have inconsistent part-time work, and if I could be on call, that there would be sporadic opportunities throughout the week to basically advertise the gym through media outlets, in person. So we would hand out flyers, we would show up to different schools, tell them about the gym, as well as set up little obstacle courses. So what I did, not only did I make myself on call, I made myself on call every single time. And for me, if you follow this channel, you know that it's really important to me to be training for the Boston Marathon. But what I decided at that point is that the most important thing, above and beyond anything else, even marathon training, was going to be this position at the Jungle, because I wanted to be a fitness coach, and this is what I wanted to do. So there were several times that I can specifically remember where I was on a marathon training run, or I was running hill repeats somewhere in Austin, Texas, and I would get a phone call from one of the managers, Matt or Josh, saying, hey, we have this event, it's coming up in an hour, this just came about, we could really use you there, but we understand, if you're not able to make it. And I would answer the phone call, even in the middle of a run. And I would stop what I was doing, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there in 45 minutes. Maybe my car was 2 miles away, and I would run to my car, get changed in the car, and show up. And I just decided that I was going to be that committed, because, if you really want to succeed in life, you have to be committed. You have to show people the value that you can bring. Organizations in general, not just the Jungle. This is where I happen to work right now, and I'm very grateful for this specific spot. But in general, organizations are interested in the value that you bring. How can you serve those people? How can you serve a greater community? How can you provide more impact? And that is what I've tried really hard to focus on. And I'm incredibly grateful for the value that this organization has brought to me. It's been like a reciprocal value where they seem to appreciate the hard work and the effort that I put, and now I appreciate what has been given back to me. So anyways, to get back to what I was saying, so I would take these calls, I'd go set up these obstacle courses wherever I was told to set them up, whether it was at a park, whether it was at a school, do all of that. And my goal there was that I was hoping to pick up full-time work as a summer camp counselor at the Jungle. I really wanted to have that opportunity. I did not know if I was going to get that opportunity, but I was told that if I worked really hard, maybe I would have that chance. There's a lot of other great summer camp counselors at the Jungle. So again, I didn't know if they were going to give me that chance, but that was my goal. So by the end of this season of working part-time inconsistent roles advertising the gym, I was given that role. I was also given my first pay raise. And I was specifically told that you're given this pay raise basically because you showed up anytime that we needed you to show up. So that was very humbling because I just felt like that, to me, I didn't really feel like I was going above and beyond. That's what I was told that I was doing. But for me, I was just doing what I've pretty much learned or pretty much taught myself to do, which is just work as hard as I can. So I don't really consider that to be going above and beyond. I just consider that to be what you're supposed to do as an employee. Okay, so now fast forward to the summer camp job. Now I'm incredibly grateful that I have been given a full-time position full-time seasonal position, I should say. So I had not yet earned the full-time position at the gym. What I earned was a full-time seasonal position. And that's what I wanted for step one. So I showed up with the intention to be the very best summer camp counselor that I can possibly be. Now, whether or not I was the best summer camp counselor at the gym, I'm not saying that I was. There's a lot of other counselors at the Jungle that have done an incredible job, and it is a great community, and it attracts a lot of great employees. So I'm not saying that I was the best. What I am telling you is that I always showed up trying to do the very best that I could, and my goal was to be the best summer camp counselor. So I was very grateful for that opportunity. I did the very best that I could. I was very humbled by all of the interactions that I had and how much I seemed to be able to provide. For the kids that were there, a lot of the kids seemed to really appreciate me as a coach. So it was a very fulfilling job for me. Now we fast forward, I go through 3 months as a seasonal summer camp counselor. And then I get a phone call from one of the managers or owners at the gym, basically saying, we don't know if you're planning to stay here in Texas, but we want to offer you a full-time position. So I don't have, family here, but I've kind of developed family at the Jungle. Like a non-blood family, I guess. It is a community. It does feel like family in certain ways. And I was offered that position. So this was about 2.5 months ago at this point, basically offered the position to work full-time at the Jungle, which was my initial goal. So now we're about 4.5 months into work. So I had earned 1 pay raise, and I already earned my position that I wanted, which was to be a full-time fitness coach at the Jungle. So now I coach Spartan fitness for adults several times per week. I coach rock climbing for kids. I coach toddlers ages 3 to age 5. So young kids, I teach them how to move, how to exercise, how to do parkour and movement and things like that. The biggest program that I've been able to start has been the soccer program, and it has been a great success so far. I was able to start that program from scratch, and I'm humbled to say that it has been one of the most popular programs at the Jungle. It has generated a lot of interest, and yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that because I'm very humbled by that. It has brought in some of the biggest numbers at the Jungle, and I've been very grateful and humbled for that opportunity. And going forward, I'm not done here with the work that I've started. I feel like I'm kind of just getting started, but it has been 6 months of just kind of a roller coaster of just working as hard as I possibly can. And I'm very humbled to say now that I've been given my second phone call from the owners, And not only do they want me to stay here, but they gave me a second pay raise now within 6 months. And I wanted to just say again how incredibly grateful I am for that, because I did not expect it. I just showed up, worked as hard as I could, and there's so many other great employees here. So I never expected anything. I never asked for anything. And one thing I wanted to say is that my motto here since I started working 6 months ago, and it honestly has been pretty much the exact same motto that I've taken into every job I've done, whether I've been working as a bouncer. I worked as a bouncer in South Boston about 4 years ago. I worked as an Amazon driver this past year up in Massachusetts through a brutal and cold and icy winter. I've worked for Lyft, rideshare, Uber, DoorDash. I've worked in the National Park Service. I've worked for different resorts. I've worked very menial jobs as like maintenance tech, fixing like doorbells and different things like that. I'm trying to think of what else I've done. Well, I worked as a wilderness guide when I was in college. All of the different jobs that I've ever worked, I've tried to bring the mindset of work as hard as you can. And really my motto has been work hard, rest later. And I've definitely brought that mindset here to the jungle. And I will be honest, and this is where I'm going to kind of get, almost emotional thinking about this. In the last couple weeks, I have honestly felt very burnt out. And there's been a lot of times where I've kind of questioned what I'm doing, because even though I felt very fulfilled, working with kids and coaching even adults in fitness, it's very much felt like my dream job to be able to do this, because this is what I've wanted to do for a very long time. I've also gotten very burnt out. And in the last couple weeks, I've started to question whether or not I had the physical capability to continue doing this. But it was very humbling to receive that phone call and be told that, you've earned this second pay raise. And again, this has been my kind of motto through this is work hard, rest later. Work as hard as you can now. You can sleep when the work is done. That's what I've trained myself to do. It's what I've done. And, rest is important. Sleep is important. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't sleep. But what I am telling you is work hard. Work hard before you sleep. That's my motto. That's how I live my life. And I'm just incredibly grateful right now for the opportunities that I've been given at the jungle, in the ways that the jungle has served me to be a better person, a better coach, and a better leader. So thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm also going to add in the description, a link to the Jungle Movement Academy website so you can see the classes offered if you happen to be in the area. I would love if you check it out and take a class. I'll catch you guys.